I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies.
Welcome to Cookies, the world's most influential basketball podcast. It is Monday, December 1st. Still technically fall, but feeling like winter. Andrew Quo, how was your holiday weekend?
My holiday weekend was crazy. It's that weird time right before New Year's. Happy New Year, man. Confetti's falling. 2026 is here.
It's time for Cookies Hoops 2025 Wrapped. Us and Barack Obama dropping our favorite tunes, our favorite movies, our favorite drone strikes.
Hexa Nation over here. Can we just cancel December?
I think we've worked it out. It's a perfect situation. As Americans, we can groan about our lack of holidays. We're not like those Europeans who get 2 months off gallivanting around on their Ryanair $50 flights to who knows where. We work. We're Americans. We just quiet quit for 1/12 of the year. December, we don't do anything. Doesn't count. From now on, I'll see you January 7th, maybe?
So, when Europeans do not observe August, maybe parts of July, probably December, as you say, are they living in the future? Because they're almost eliminating 2.5 months from the American calendar. And you know, we operate at different speeds, fast and slow. Are Europeans gambling resources for us? Can they see the future?
Speak for yourself. I'm a lunar calendar guy. I don't know about you.
Hey, you were just describing the European. I'm asking a question about the Europeans.
Oh.
Speak for yourself.
Look.
As a European.
Look, I'm a lunar calendar guy. I always have been, always will be.
Yvonne Lunar over here.
Yeah, they're operating in the future. The future will have only 9 months, and some of them will be 60 days.
Everyone will be Asian. The Europeans will understand gambling trends before we do because they're one step ahead of us. Anecdotally, I have a French friend who has lived here in America for 7-8 years, started a family, did the whole thing, fashion biz. Recently, always complaining about America, right? Like, no one takes time off, to your point. It's like everyone's so busy running around all the time. Europeans are healthier spiritually and emotionally. We need to go back and raise our family in Paris. Move back to Paris, hates it. Being like, it is so boring over here. No one does anything. Everyone just hates each other. And I'm like, the future is not as bright as I thought.
Well, the problem with this is the binary of New York City versus Paris, right? Because you can look at New York City and be like, there's so much going on. But if you went to, say, a humble burg like a Rochester, New York, for example.
Is Rochester the new Paris of America? Are they operating in the same way?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Cafe culture in Rochester.
Yeah.
Everyone is so stylishly dressed. No, the point here is that you could go to a place like that and people are still overworked. They're still harried. They're still tired. They still don't have health insurance. They still don't have vacation. And it's boring.
Yeah, it's completely anecdotal. That's why I had to give a little color to it. Like, the fashion biz moves fast and also in the future, which is its maybe weakness there. You have to think in terms of what people might be into seasons ahead of time. But I think it's interesting because getting a lot of anti-New York information jammed into my brain.
Well, that's kind of the funny part. Someone visits New York City and it's like, America is rinsed. Put it in a sous vide bag, because I went to New York City and that country is annoying. It's just filled with rats and garbage. Everyone's a leftist from Bushwick, like Andrew Cuomo with his green hair. That country is trash. It's like, yeah, that's kind of an anomalous region.
Listen, I hate New York. The Lego store in Rockefeller Center is impossible. It's just screaming kids everywhere. New York City is full of screaming kids trying to touch Legos.
I love America. Central Park is beautiful.
Bagels aren't so good. I just got one at the corner deli. Like, this is not any different than the ones I can get in Rochester.
So I drove up for the holiday. And when you do it in spring, summer, fall, it's quite a lovely drive. This time of year, it's a little rough. You get rolling hills that have the appearance of Puglia, for example, when you're going up in spring, the verdant vegetation. This time it's sort of like Cormac McCarthy's The Road.
There's no leaves to peep, buddy. The peeping has been done. Now it's just like barren branches, that weird pre-winter asphalt, which doesn't have salt on it yet, but looks like it's dry, like chapped lips. Yeah, it's rough.
We traveled across another charred copse. Like, oh my God, 4 more hours of this shit.
How was Rochester? Can we get a scene report?
I did some very real eater performative upstate dining. I'm not going to say I did it for the gram, but we were immersed in the culture. Had a garbage plate, split 3 ways, didn't finish it, but that was just like upstate credos. Yeah, I had a garbage plate, of course. Maybe my second in 15 years, if not longer.
Did you have a famous one or just one around the way?
I went to Dogtown, which is, I would say, the most edible of the garbage plates, which to me kind of disqualifies it. It's supposed to be real slop that you get at 1 a.m. when you're twisted off of those Jenny cream ales. Theirs is actually good. It's sort of unfair.
Did you say what's up to Patrick Beverly? Grayson Allen?
The true garbage plates? The
Dogville. Sounds delicious. What else did you eat?
And then had Speedies as a real eater on the way back.
What's a Speedy?
I mean, this is the real, the holy trinity of upstate foodstuffs. If you threw in Buffalo's beef on weck, because that's like more regional than say buffalo wings.
Which
those
is
would be the
sliced
3.
Beef with horseradish and like a pretzel bun, everything bun.
Never had it. I don't really fuck with buffalo like that.
I had it in on tour in Pennsylvania, I believe.
You got an out of state beef on weck. It does make sense though, because it's so far west that it kind of goes towards Canada, Pennsylvania.
It was in front of a house flea market kind of thing.
Speedies, very quickly, it's kind of like upstate shawarma. It's marinated meat that's cooked in foil instead of put on a skewer and then wedged into a roll.
Sounds good. We're talking chicken, beef.
It's sold chicken or pork. I always get chicken. I don't know if that's like the pure way, but when I went garbage plate, 2 white hots. That's like
no hamburger buns. I mean hamburger patties.
No hamburger patties. No beans. Obviously, that's sacrilegious. 2 Zweigel's white hots. To me, that's like the pure plate. I'm not saying it's the best plate, but that's like the fundamentalist garbage plate.
This style of dish, you know how everyone's like every culture has a dumpling, every culture has a version of a garbage plate, and this reminds me of like crispy noodles at Cantonese Chinese restaurant, or poutine, or nachos, fully loaded fries. This is like there could be a little coffee table book about this kind of style.
Yeah, I think poutine is pretty comparable, especially in that the hours of consumption are like 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. traditionally speaking.
And in Green Bay, Wisconsin, do they do the fries with gravy and the squeaky cheese curds? Is that a thing?
I mean, it sounds a lot like poutine, generally
Yeah,
speaking.
I don't know, Wisconsin. Love it, love it, I love it all. So, did you manage to squeeze in a traditional turkey dinner as well?
Yes, at the consequence of sounding like a 33-year-old millennial woman, really leaning on Allison Roman's recipes for stuffing and turkey. I gotta say, they're good.
This is when she makes her money, man. Holy cow! Like you see those view counts go up. I too watched a few Allison Roman videos. Friend of the pod, big fan. I like the way she carved out her DIY content. She was like, all right, I don't need all this. I'm going to do it myself because I'm that good. She opened up a shop in the Lower East Side. Uh, Her cooking is great. I think I'm a little too Asian for the lack of soy sauce that she uses in her gravy, but I like it as a jump off.
Yeah, I think she's a incredibly good recipe writer. The food is excellent,
Food is
obviously,
good. Yeah.
but the simplicity, the presentation, she just nails the recipes. She's extremely talented at writing recipes.
I mean, you mentioned a demographic that she's hitting, that she may be hit, but she's having another moment, I feel like, where people are now clocking her style and being like, oh, that's the Allison Roman look instead of the Allison Roman flavor or taste. It is creeping into lifestyle stuff, which is, dating ourselves to mention how powerful Martha Stewart was at some point in our lives before she did her bid. Um,
Bing Monster, Martha Stewart.
yeah. I mean, the transition from talented personality slash whatever you can do, cook, basketball analysis, whatever, into lifestyle is the move, right? Because if you're Kith, you're doing shoes, collaborations, then opening up shops and doing your own fashion line. Then you're opening up restaurants, and then you have the whole Ronnie Feig look, right? And Alison Roman is absolutely doing that, whether that's intentional or not. But her videos are clever in a way that perhaps Kenji's are not, which is she's like, I'm going to bring it in to my friend circle. I'm going to talk about my friends. I'm going to give you a sneak peek into who's at the table, which is always fascinating. And I'm deeply in a community that does other stuff. And I turn the camera around and I talk to the production staff and maybe do the whole reveal, the curtain reveal.
I feel like before our time, there must have been people clocking like James Beard. Like that's a vibe. Okay, I see this, or Julia Child. Like, okay, this is what
Zagat.
right. This is what a chef is supposed to look like. This is what someone who fixes food is supposed to act like, and I can mimic that. And then you'd see it today with like Gohar World or something, with like Layla Gohar, who's a extremely pretty chef who doesn't really make food for public consumption as much as a lifestyle brand, as you said. She's selling, I don't know, doilies and pretty things and napkins. No one's really eaten her food. Maybe only real eaters, for example.
Yeah, we see the Jamie Olivers kind of stumble. They're going through their Starbucks kind of re-evaluation. Like we were a behemoth, but now the climate has changed in terms of the content that he makes. And then he has to reinvent himself a little bit after like silly controversies about pink slime or just the aging of his audience. And to hit it for those waves is like a task that only a handful of people can actually be successful at. But I do think it's interesting how I hear some food content people talk about Martha Stewart terms. It's like we got to expand our audience by expanding what we do and what we talk about. And this is a game plan that has been executed before to a lot of success, and like Ina Garten, and to like a modest kind of success like Ina Garten, right? Bobby Flay, I just saw his AD, I believe. I wouldn't say he's doing bad, but he's no longer like the meteoric star he used to be.
Is it gendered? Or is it only women who are able to turn being excellent cooks, excellent recipe designers, excellent presenters into a personal brand? Because the closest male equivalent I can think of would be like Anthony Bourdain. But his was much more about the sort of rebel spirit. I mean, he was, but I don't.
It wasn't
Marco
a chef.
Pierre,
he was a cook. Yeah.
Marco Pierre White, like the original bad boy chef in London. Yeah. I'm sure he would fit that category, but the lifestyle wasn't, hey, I can make my own kitchen resemble the one that you're showing us with doilies and this beautiful patterned tablecloth. It's like, oh, this guy's sick. He smokes cigs, drinks a lot of whiskey, and like bones supermodels. I think that would be cool to live like Marco Pierre White.
Like, to say this delicately is important, but I think as men, we're not allowed to have the power and claim we don't have the power, right? Because I think men in the food world have dominated in a way that doesn't make sense, because all we do is, like, I learned everything about food from my mom. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Because of a messed up gender cycle, generation, all this stuff. But my mom did the cooking in the house, and my father tried, but he wasn't quite as good. And my mom was about that life. But then when we get to my adulthood, and the culinary world is dominated by men in the kitchen, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense with how I was brought up and how I see this action.
I mean, we grew up mimicking Mario Batali, only to find out that it was a disaster.
Right,
my God. Why are we following Batali? It's kind of funny that is it Mick Buford? What's his name? Bill Buford. His book, I think it's called like Into the Fire or something along those lines. It's like him tracing the footsteps of Batali through his life, and then goes and cooks at the same places that Batali did in Italy. Like, when did that run into some issues? Okay, so now we go up to the R room and the third floor of this restaurant. Like, this is too immersive.
And it's crazy because we talk about the success of amazing content creators like Allison, and we don't mention like what Italy is and how much money that makes. And Bastianich family, the son of the matriarch, runs that company. And there's so much money generated there. So we're talking about the love we have for these people who show us how to do things, like Alison Roman, Kenji, Ina Garten, versus the money that generates in the industry. Because, like, you look at all these top lists and top chefs, and a lot of them are men. And like the Proustian weird ratatouille thing, James Joyce is like, oh, the smell of my mother's soup. But you know who's really a good chef? This dude. If we want to talk about gender that way, I think women are not appreciated enough in food.
Finally, someone had the courage.
The bravery. I mean, you said it's just like, how come no woman's like famous? I'm like, dude.
I was mostly saying
this politely.
Oh no, I was saying that like the ability to turn it into a lifestyle brand that is emulated. I think I think men don't necessarily look at Kenji and say, I'm buying a houseboat.
Kenji is very successful. He has one of the most popular food books of all time. Like the owners of all these, like 11 Madison's, two dudes, you know, like it depends on what we're looking at, because a self-made YouTuber is different than Daniel Hung, right?
Sorry, I'm just thinking about someone watching Kenji and be like, God damn it, that houseboat is so tight. Going out, selling his home, buying a place on the river, and Kenji's like, yeah, that was crazy. I got a girlfriend. I'm out of the houseboat. Like, oh, shit. Come on, Kenji. I trusted you on how to cook a pork loin, and now I'm floating down the Mississippi.
I mean, that's so much of it. Like, do you believe in gastronomy, like molecular gastronomy, in the same way after watching Wiley Dufresne kind of like try to find his footing? Like, is Mitch Richmond a top 50 all-time player if he never even comes close to being the alpha on a good team?
Well, the molecular gastronomy thing is funny because that was an embarrassing time for everybody.
I enjoyed it. Come on, you didn't like it? I went to WD-50. That shit was fun. I spent some 90s money there.
What were we doing? That was
awesome.
Okay. Let's just pretend none of that ever happened with like the deconstructed BLTs and whatnot.
I mean, it was pretentious in a way that doesn't last, but I was making a banging turkey supper for me and my friend, just crushing it. And I watched a lot of Allison. I watched a ton of Kenji, and I decided to go the Kenji route, which his idea was potatoes are all about starch management. And I'm like, oh, this whole meal is about starch management I love stuffing. So I made stuffing, the mashed potatoes and the gravy. I'm like, this is about the right consistency, the right cooking time of starch, like generating the perfect amount of gumminess, because if you miss, it's just gross.
And then the coup de grace, you brought out your dessert, carbonated mortadella, that you've broken down on a molecular basis.
Well, like, so I've been following Wiley's pizza stuff on YouTube, and I haven't yet sampled his slice, but he has become a pizza guy, and he always talks about umami, which drives me nuts, right? He's just like, well, tomato sauce Italian food is about umami, so I put, get this, soy sauce in my pizza sauce. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. If you were a real man with courage and bravery, drop some MSG right on top at the last moment. Like, let's get real. Let's take it to Dogtown.
A slight segue, just because you're talking about pizza. There's a place in Rochester that opened up. It's definitely the best pizza in town, I think. It's been open for a couple of years. Definitely the best pizza. Is $35 too much for a pepperoni pizza in Rochester?
No. Sadly, my instinct is to say yes, but it's not. I live way out, like in East Brooklyn, and my key food guy's like, I'm sorry for the high prices. It's just these are Manhattan prices, buddy. It's expensive to run a business, to employ people, and this is the fault of many laws that didn't quite work in our favor. But sadly, the person slanging you $35 pizza probably cares about pizza a lot and probably is not getting rich.
I'm 100% aligned with this point of view because, of course, you're looking at like, okay, so 2 pepperoni pizzas or 1 plain, 1 pep to feed the full brood. You're like, oh, it's $80 for 2 pizzas. That's kind of steep.
Money ain't shit.
You save $15 and have an inferior meal. Like, okay, each of us collectively saved about $2 per person so we could have a pizza that we don't enjoy. Because I don't begrudge them the extra $10 really, because I would like you to survive because you are the best pizza we have. If you can't survive, even if that means you want to rinse us for a couple extra bucks per pie once every 4 months when we order it, that's cool. If that will let you thrive, maybe you'll open a second one that's closer. Whatever the case may be. Yeah, I'd rather overpay in general, just so this business model of good pizza will weed out the places that are bad but cheap.
Look at you, patron of the pies, the patron of this this pizza
unlike
culture.
you, I'm just a naked capitalist. I'm saying charge more for a better product, and that's what your guy. Who's the big capitalist guy? Adam, what's his name? Your guy. Wasn't his name Adam something?
Eric Adams, my guy. I immediately think of Eric
the
Adams.
capitalist guy. We read about him back in the day. Adam something. Adam Silver.
Adam Morrison.
Adam Smith. Adam Smith.
Oh. Adam Bona. I think, like, to that point, like Michelangelo, right? He needs a patron, but like the Trump administration with this whole kerfuffle about the price of Thanksgiving foods, and that stony ass guy who's just like, listen, I bought a generic turkey and it was the same. You guys on your high horses wanting name brands, and I'm like, okay, so we're not doing corporate health or capitalism. That's cool, but like to ask someone, be like, $35, just get a $20 pizza. It's sauce, cheese, and bread. And I'm like, sure. And the lack of not identifying joy, especially during Thanksgiving, is like, I got mad. I sound a little bit crazy, I know, all the time about everything. But I was looking through my feed with my family and friends, and people were displaying their spreads. And I was like, I hate to be a hater here, Thanksgiving spreads. And I hate to be the hater, but it looks like you cooked a bunch of stuff. Like you checked a bunch of boxes. Everything looks terrible here, but it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong. There's even cranberry sauce in the corner. I see like 2 kinds of gravy. Like, that's crazy. It looks terrible, man. It's just like quantity, like, it's the joy takes different forms, and that's where I sound crazy, because like just to look at it is like awesome. I love it, but the Trump administration is almost saying like, if it's on the table, it's what you get.
Look at my table, freighted with various carbohydrates. Look at all the starches arranged in front of you, a smorgasbord. You don't have to eat it, and probably you shouldn't. But the array of volume, it's been a good year. We have a plentiful harvest. We have a feast for the full family.
Look at these stack of filet of fishes right next to Wendy's, right next to Taco Bell. What wouldn't you want? America, we're doing great.
We're crushing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the paying a premium for the premium pie, the Quo style, that to me is very different also from, like, I can't afford eggs. Eggs are costing $9. Now I have to have 2 eggs instead of 3. And that's annoying. I like having a 3-egg omelet. My life is like slightly worse off because I have to mete out my eggs over a 6-day block than a 4-day block, because I don't want to spend another $8 this week. Like, that's like a reality for American families. That's different from me saying, yeah, take another 5 spot for your lavish pepperoni pie.
I mean, I see it as like everything, it's like that Office Space crime. Everything is incrementally up a little bit. And then I think the joy in your day is not necessarily the eggs or the milk or whatever staple you always walk out of the supermarket with. It's that one extra thing, being like, ooh, this cookie looks nice. I'm going to get these double chocolate Milanos. I didn't know I wanted them, but I'd like to have them. And then when everything incrementally goes up a little, you have to take that one thing at the end away. And that one thing is usually the joy.
Yeah, when you're writing, I mean, you also are a writer at times. You know, there's the cliche when you're writing for like a publication, like the thing that you really like is always going to get edited out. Like, okay, I have this really cool anecdote, this really nice analogy, this play on words that I think is like bringing it home. The editor's like, okay, first thing that's gone is the thing where you compare Nerlens Noel to Jesus. That's out. I'm like, come on. What do you mean, Chris Ryan?
All right. Yeah. It's like, okay, we got to take out the part about your bravery about Reed Shepherd. I'm like, wait. What am I doing now, man?
That's the thrust of the piece. about how I was the only one who believed and whatnot. But he was the third pick, Andrew. Yeah, but
I mean, but this is how I think about everything, right? I go to a Knicks game, whatever, it's expensive, it's cool. But you know what would really make this night? Like walking away with an Eddie House t-shirt or a Rasheed Wallace t-shirt. And when you can't have that, it's like the band not playing their hit song at the end.
I'd like a
It was a good show.
$65 double shot of Jaeger right now.
Oh my god. It is so expensive to go to a game and getting wasted at the game costs a lot of money, man.
I don't think we talked about this last pod. We talked a lot about Zoran, and we talked about some of his transition and his meeting with Trump. We didn't talk about Lena Khan's suggestion, though. I don't know if you saw this or not. Maybe you did. Was that there
No
is
relation to Knipple.
no, there is a maybe there is a I don't know if you'd call it a statute or whatever it is. It's an older law that basically, I'm going to get the terminology wrong, but the gist will be correct. Fear not.
As usual,
listeners.
let's go.
Yeah, like a little,
We're in Dogtown.
A little loose on the facts, but the thrust
We'll
is
bring
there.
it home.
So the concept is that in places like sports arenas or airports, there's a few other places, I think concert venues, musical venues, where you are the sole vendor, that you have to justify your prices, that you basically can't use extortionate rates. You can't say, for example, you're in an airport, so water is $8, without proving that your business model is reliant on making spending on $8 being the price for water, versus like a bodega across the street that's selling it for $1. Mm-hmm. And Lena Khan at least suggested that she is going to use this to bring down drink prices at sporting events. If Zoran does that, we're making him king.
Oh my god. Well, in fact, there's some obvious policy that I think would just make a politician insanely popular. But Andrew Yang tried to give people money, and people are like, nope, I'd rather have more taxes. And he's like, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. It's like he's just like, what if I just write you a check? And people like you are like, nah, what's the catch here? He's like, I'll just tell you these things that I believe in. You're like, nah, I'm not buying
Well,
it. I mean, obviously he's not a perfect candidate.
I know. I'm just saying that
Khan is,
Andrew
like,
Yang
controversial.
Sure. I'm saying that the catch on Yang, though, was that he wanted to get rid of all social services and basically be like, everyone gets a basic income, but those people who are reliant on this for their life will just not have that anymore. I'm just saying that was the catch. It wasn't
the
that I was
phrasing
like,
of Zoran is not too dissimilar. I think they both would have figured something out, and Zoran did not say a lot of things people accuse him of saying. No. But like that is the culture of his opposition. You know, it's like he's gonna take basic stuff away from us. Like he's not. He never said that. And like Yang is not a good politician and not a good leader, but not a dumb person either.
I think he's kind of a dumb person, but he's old news. I think
he wasn't a rapper. He was no rapper.
I mean, he's no
I mean,
Mr.
you look
Cardamom.
at those rap videos, I'm like, this is not wise, dude.
But I would say if Zoran can do that, and it's like you go into the garden, and it's $8 for a beer, he's gonna have the bridge and tunnel crowd flooding the streets like ice on canal with Zoran for mayor signage.
I mean, it is tricky when a politician messes with our taxes, right? Because taxes feel a few degrees away from our visceral experience. So when your taxes go up, if you're not paying attention, it might be harder to observe than getting a free beer. I'm wary of people who give me free beers. When I see maybe Lena Khan's original grievance, when I see something that costs what it should cost or maybe more expensive, I have the choice to buy it or not. But I'm like, where is the deception? Because everyone's trying to get rich. There's no part of selling water at an airport that isn't trying to make a little bit more money. They're not trying to make us happy. They're trying to generate revenue higher and higher every year. So when the water costs $8, I'm like, At least they're not lying about it. I'll pass on the water. There's a water fountain. But it's like when a beer costs $10 at the garden or 15, I'm like, at least you're not trying to trick me. I am not gonna buy it, or I am gonna buy it, but like sort of like a three. I'm obsessed with the subway. This is how much it costs to use this thing. I'm like, I'm gonna pass. I'm not gonna say like, I think that water should be free.
Well, I think the Lena Khan idea is just based on overcharging. They aren't saying we're going to give you free beer. I mean, they're saying that you're being squeezed because it's a monopoly within this establishment. And of course, the other side of it's like, but I own the establishment. I can make the prices. If you don't want a beer, you don't have to have a beer. So I think these are what would get ironed out in court eventually if she tries to go through with this. I'm mostly saying that's a crowd pleaser. The free buses, sure, whatever. You're like, cheaper brew dogs?
I know.
When I'm over there at a Buffalo Sabres game, when the Sabres come into town and I head to the Garden.
I mean, that was a funny point in New York City nightlife when in the aughts there was a promise of free beer a few texts and car rides away. You could find a free beer. And I remember our crew would try to get those delicious Red Stripes, those aluminum canned cold Bud Lights somewhere. And I'm like, the effort and transportation it costs to get from here to Brooklyn, to Williamsburg, back to the Lower East Side, to Chelsea. I'm like, beers are only a couple bucks. I only want 8 of these. Like, it's not it's not like this pursuit is saving us money if we're talking about freeness. If we're just like, oh, that's where our friends are, totally different, right? That's where the players are playing. I'm like, okay, that's different. That's where the band is performing. That
Andrew,
is not part
it's
of
about
that
the journey. No, it's about the brews. It's about the beers. It's not about the journey. It's not about the destination. No, it is the destination. It's the beers.
Yeah. We have a couple of friends who have spent decades just trying to get free drinks. And I'm like, this is a lot of effort for something that, like, all in all, and they're not at the Garden, they're at like dive bars and parties. It's not that expensive, right? Like,
I mean,
it is, but it isn't for a lifestyle.
Yes. Well, it's funny because now that, we're flush with podcast cash, I can't really speak to what it's like, as a early 20-something in pursuit of the free beers, because we lived that lifestyle in downtown Manhattan, and you knew what nights the beers were free before a certain hour. You knew where your friends were bartending. You knew when there was a Tokion magazine release. Like, you could look at your schedule and say, okay, well, so Wednesday there's a Frank 151 thing. Then we're going to go to Reed Space on Friday between 7 and 9, naturally.
Fellas, there's a mass appeal party in Williamsburg.
Exactly. And there's a Bud Select event. We need to flood over there real quick and get our hands on some of that really select
aluminum
Bud.
Cans? Damn.
Wow, it's so cold.
That hits different. But I think what you're talking about is valid, and I always think about this in terms of like winning and grievance, right? Like, I think a lot of times I find myself searching for the small wins in my day. That's like, ooh, I got that at a discount. That was a bit of a sale. It's like, oh, I found $1 on the street. Someone paid it forward and bought me a coffee. Like, win. The monetary sum of these wins is much less than the spiritual outcome, right? Like, when people have to have the last word in an argument on the subway, I'm like, you're looking for a win. I get it. And you need this win in order to set your day in motion. You need to say, fuck you, and then not have someone respond. And I think the underlying feeling is, I think, bringing up the floor of like sadness and emptiness of life will mitigate these small wins. And the way to do it is either to give us something that will help us in the moment or help us long term. James Dolan hates Mandami, right? Because he's looking at maybe property taxes coming back. 20, 30, 40 million dollars a year he's going to have to start paying. And he's going to use that as an excuse to be like, my revenues are high. I employ thousands of people. Prices for concessions are going up. And then Lena Khan's like, well, I'm going to put a cap on that. And he's going to put all of his muscle, because he, as a billionaire, is not getting those W's that make his day worthwhile. He's going to put all of his muscle into squeezing out something that is going to make our life worse. As basketball is.
Right.
James
A couple thoughts would be the seductiveness of sports, as you're saying.
The opiates.
Exactly. It's like, okay, your life sucks, but Joel Embiid back.
Huge. I love it.
Oh, thank God. I know yesterday was rough. We had all this feast of garbage on our table that was totally unedible. Ruined the holiday. But so much starch. Brutal dinner. Joel Embiid surprisingly played.
Yeah. Hey guys, I traded for Karl Anthony Towns. I'm like, fucking thank you. This makes me happy. Really makes me happy. Thank you for doing that. It's like, we're gonna pay Karl Anthony Towns. I'm like, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Shout out to James Dolan.
And to me, this is like applicable, of course, to American politics as well, where it's like, okay, the winners either way are going to be the Dolans and the billionaires and the donor class and the corporations and all that stuff. But on a smaller level, your win is going to be, you're going to wear this red hat. And if you get this W, you can wear that hat around with pride. It's going to cost you $50, but you can wear that hat around and you're the king for the day. You got it. You got the win. You're going back to the same house either way, the same job either way, driving the same car. Nothing about your life is necessarily going to change, or it might get worse, but you get the hat.
You get a beer for $2 less than you did yesterday, right? Like, these are what politicians bank on. And then all the other stuff, they're just like destroying. Or they're like not cleaning the mold on our lives. It's like a slow kind of aerated black mold in our like generation. It's just like, if you can clean the black mold, sure, but most of us are just coughing and being like, everything's great. I got this beer for $8.
Dude, I would be happy if we got a cheaper beer. That would be a real win.
And the funny thing is, right, after I have my 12 drinks before the fourth quarter, I have enough money to buy Tyler Kolek t-shirt. No, I would be, finally, I'd be like, I'm lucid enough to buy this Kolek t-shirt that costs $50. Like, it's all going to the house, right? Like, there's this argument that I saw someone posit on Twitter, like, bringing Pablo Torre into this, like, all this gambling stuff. Like, I'm still a true fan. You're barking at the moon, like, this is nothing. If you're smart enough, you don't get got by gambling, and sports is as healthy as ever. And I'm like, our wiring and blood types have been replaced through the gambling industry as sports fans, and we don't know it. We're still alive, being like, I'm alive, I'm walking, I'm talking. I'm like, your blood type is different. And they're like, what are you talking about? It's like, there was a transfusion in your sleep and you're no longer the same thing. And that's how I feel about all of this stuff. It's just like, I stand in the garden at the Nick shop and I'm like, something's different. And it's not just time, but profitability has like wormed its way into this shot glass with a Knicks logo on it that is starting to become visible.
Andrew, I'm fine. I'm exactly the same. Yes, I threatened the life of Tari Eason's mother on social media because he got only 2 rebounds and not 4. But I'm doing great. I haven't changed. I would have threatened Tari Eason's mom on social media anyway, even without the gambling element. I was gonna do it.
Yeah. It's like, how come I can't watch these games? This has nothing to do with the billions of dollars generated by gambling companies. It's like, why does it say Abu Dhabi on my favorite team's jersey? This has nothing to do with gambling.
I saw a tweet from YC, and I had actually meant to bring it up.
Shout
So
out to us.
I'm crediting him for reminding me of something that I meant to bring up. So just giving
Shout
you
out to our friend Robert YC, right?
that's how the sausage is getting made here. He mentioned on Twitter something that I had also noticed when I was watching a game on Amazon, that they're sticking in a commercial between free throws while they're split screening. The larger screen is the guy, bouncing the ball, ready to shoot a second free throw. And they're like jamming in a little 20-second commercial, picture in picture, for like Dove soap or whatever it is. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and I kind of didn't make my point well enough, as I never do, on last week's pod about Amazon just becoming an accepted part of our lives. I was like, well, it's not on Amazon, it's not available. It's like, oh, the game's on Amazon. And I'm like, whoa. I remember in the 90s, the grievances were the environment, the Catholic Church, and corporations. We kind of won over the Catholic Church, right? That power has kind of declined. It's as almost like when we age out of the argument, there's fatigue, there's different priorities and everything. But the way Amazon has infiltrated our lives is on that blood replacement level. It's just like, did you watch last night's game on Amazon? It's like, yo, Brunson came through, and I'm like, that's fucking crazy.
There was an op-ed, and I'm gonna paraphrase it, but it was just like, billionaires aren't bad, and in the Washington Post. You're like, interesting. Like,
I mean, I like
look,
LeBron James.
but it's like, I know you guys.
Shout out to Rihanna. Yeah.
Billionaires are the problem, says the editorial voice of the Jeff Bezos owned Washington Post. You're like, wait a minute, that's Amazon too.
Yeah. The New York Post being like, New Yorkers, you live in the shittiest city in all of the world. As we look around, I'm like, there is a line to Balthazar, but like, it's magical. It's as magical as Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone #2, Lost in New York. Like, nothing has changed.
What I miss most about being upstate for the holiday was I couldn't scoff at all the people who had left. I'm in New York City.
I got my moral high ground there.
Look how empty it is after all you losers went back to your upstate cow towns. I'm riding the subway and there's barely anybody on it. I'm walking around. The city is my oyster. It'd be cool if people did that other places. Like, I get up to Rochester, I'm like, looks like all the saps are back to New York City. All you suckers have left. It's just the real Rochesterians. The real eaters of upstate are here.
I mean, yeah, is it the reverse effect? When February rolls around, are Rochesterians like, look at everyone fleeing Rochester for their big cities and their $12 beers.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of gloating about people who stuck in New York for Thanksgiving. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for Christmas so I can stick around and be on the other side of this great divide.
I have a son who's becoming aware of the world more and more every day. And he doesn't need to remind me, but there is like a moral superiority with staying in New York during the holidays that I have to cling on to, because he's like, why aren't we going somewhere to visit our family? I'm like, oh, they're all dead or we don't have money. But I need my moral superiority because I'm a true New Yorker. But I miss people who are gone,
Yes, but the problem is once you have like, your own clan, you kind of lose the moral superiority of sticking around in New York. I know you can cling to it. I'm not saying you can't.
Desperately clinging.
No, no. Please, continue to Donovan cling.
Nowhere to go, man.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm saying cling,
yeah.
Cling with white knuckles to it. I'm only saying that I feel like the real point of pride is when you're like the orphan. It's like, okay, I'm 27 years old. I got nowhere to go back to. It's just me and my friends who are trying to get these red stripes for free on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say the analogy. You never see a place as clearly as you do when you have to take a shit. When you have to take a shit, the world reveals itself to you. Like, oh my God, I know my place in this society so clearly now, and I gotta take a dump.
There are times when I'm walking around New York and it bothers me that there aren't more places to sit.
You're on
You're
this.
talking.
You're on this.
Yeah. You're talking shit, and I'm talking sitting. We're still talking about copping a squat.
Yeah. The Chinese squat, the low class Chinese squat.
I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better.
Oh,
at it.
are you getting more elasticity in those knees?
A little more. It's hard. I'm still getting sort of like an L-shaped 90-degree bend. I need to even get lower.
Get low, as they say. Well, go on with your point.
Yeah, I think that was most of it.
I mean, more places to sit. You were talking about
know.
more places to sit.
Oh yeah. That was all. That was all my point. Just wanted to do more sitting, and now I just have to learn the Asian squat because there's nowhere to sit in New York City.
The world is your bench or toilet, whatever you choose.
It's like, okay, fine. I'll go into your coffee shop and buy a $16 coffee so that I have a place to temporarily sit.
I'll give James Dolan upwards of $700 to $800 after tickets in the 100s and 14 Jameson Nates, just so I can rest my weary feet.
So there was a point that you wanted to bring up. I think it was based on a tweet that got you enraged, but I want to make sure we hit that before before we get into basketball. So yeah, let me hear this tweet that you had your panties in a bunch about.
Let me take a deep breath and bunch my panties, because Matthew Golden, someone I've never heard about, doesn't matter. He makes an interesting but annoying or fascinating point. LLMs, long learning models, are bad, but the worst kind of artists are the ones who perform quote-unquote process. Daniel Day-Lewis disappearing to vacation resorts in Bora Bora or the Amalfi Coast and calling it quote-unquote method. No novel takes years to write. Time is a marketing tool. It's a way to cultivate mystique. Matthew Golden, thank you for that tweet. What an amazing thought.
I think I mostly agree.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly? I mean, okay, there are examples where that is totally true. Just to be clear, there are times when that's true. When someone will say, I worked on this poem for 3 years. You're like, yeah, it's fine. Like, how much did you work on it over those 3 years? Like, were you checking in periodically? Or is it like, oh, wake up in the morning, get my coffee, work on this stanza for like 2 hours, maybe 6 years later, you're like, yeah, that's a totally reasonable poem. I'm saying there are cases where the mythology of the work is very much based on the time that was invested into it. And even with us, right? The burner story. A big part of that was that we were watching those accounts for months. Be like, for months they watched those accounts. I'm like, yeah, we did. That's true. It did give it some gravitas. Like, they were just spying on these burners for months. I'm like, yeah, periodically we would check in and look at the tweets and screen cap them.
I always want to say something when someone's like, how long did this painting take me? It took me my whole life to make this image. Good. And I'm like, bro, come on. But fair enough. But come on, right? And
you didn't even know who Jeremy Lin was when you were a kid. Linsanity hadn't occurred yet. He's like, yes, but I was working my way up to Linsanity.
I mean, it's like time, as Matthew McConaughey told me, time is a flat circle. True Detective number one true detective. And a year, who cares about a measurement of a year? Poems are forever. Artwork is forever. The joy of basketball is forever, which took us longer than a year. How come that wasn't 2 months? I'm like, well, if I worked really hard on it, maybe. But like, especially now that you see, I mean, I hate to mention my kids all the time, but like Jeremy Lin, for example. Jeremy Lin, for example, I always say, made me a better sports fan. That took a long time to figure out, and it was kind of random that he showed up. But I didn't discover this idea. This idea was bound to happen. Like, I think someone would have discovered gravity before the person who did put his flag down on it. So I think that like the idea of time is tricky here. I think he's definitely wrong, and I think the measurement of time is another debate. The mechanics of an artwork, for example, you can't really make a movie in 2 months. You can't make Dune number three in 6 months. So we have to like understand the mechanics of Avatar and how long that takes. But I love a poem as an example because poems are fast and slow. They read quickly. They're usually economical in terms of words and language. But hopefully, if you read a good one, it is an expansive thing. I kind of want to talk about Dennis Johnson. Did you watch Train Dreams?
I read the book, and it's an incredible book. It's a novella.
Yeah.
If I
and
read,
Mhm.
it would have been a great book.
If you read novellas, right?
Had
Well, it's not
I
a
read
real
this,
book. It's a fake
yeah,
book. It's like a short
wait,
NBA season.
that's a novel? No, 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 novella. Oh, thank God, novella. Well, that's acceptable.
And we're not saying short stories anymore. We're saying length positive stories.
Yeah,
You
I'd like
got
to
that?
see that expanded with some lengthening surgery.
See, you cut the book in half and you jam it with blank pages, and over time it fills up with words, and then you get a real novel at the end.
You fill it with
Takes
Playboy
years.
magazines.
Yeah, it takes years. Everything takes a long time, man. Like good poetry sometimes happens all of a sudden. Music, right? Some songs were Ian MacKay always talks about this. There were some songs he wrote as a singer of the Teen Idols that he cannot get back. Bob Dylan talks about this. I'm no Bob Dylan fan, but he's like, I read the words to some of my songs written in my youth, and I don't know what person that is. I don't know what feeling that is. How did this person do it? And that person was me. I don't know how, which I think is a wonderful way to talk about art.
Yeah, I get that sometimes. I feel like there are articles that I don't remember writing at all, especially when I was writing about music. It's just a long time ago. They were churned out very quickly. It's like, okay, you have to listen to this album and then write, a 500 word review of it. And it's like when you're studying for a test. You come up with your takes, you do it, you vomit it out, and it's done. It's not like a work that sticks with you. Like, oh, I remember every part of this process. I was in character in the islands on a surfboard pretending that I was a guy who discovered oil. But anyway, but I really just don't remember it. It just happened so quickly. I went to the Def Jam office, Universal, Gabe played me a record, and I wrote a Waka Flocka review. And then it was gone.
Yeah.
And it was even strange sometimes reading it because in that era, it would be 2 months, 3 months sometimes. It would come out in a print publication. It wouldn't be online. You're like, oh, it's out. Oh, there it is. Huh. All right. Yeah. But now I'll read stuff like, hey, I wonder if I would have come up with that today. That was a pretty good line. That was nice. I don't know if I'm the same person that would have described that this way, even if I agree with that take, which I might not either. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I think that tweet is fascinating on many levels because it's just a completionist thought on Twitter or X. This is what this app is about. People just fill in the gaps and form a circle of an idea, and his job was just to say that. But there is kind of I sense a vibration of with creative people, old, middle, young, whatever, about earnesty and train dreams and the debate going on with that. And not to bring up Bob Dylan, but Timothy Chalamet's acceptance speech for I believe his Golden Globe, was kind of weird. It felt when he talked about like, hey, I accept this. I really tried hard. I want this. It took years of my life to prepare for this role. I want to be one of the greats. And people love Timothy Chalamet, so people accepted that. But if you're not as beloved and the star of Marty Supreme, it turns into pretension. And I think there is a palpable, cohesive, overarching thought that people have about poetry. About it's like, you're so pretentious. It took you years to write. You brush your teeth for 3 minutes. It takes me 30 seconds. It is about efficiency. It is about being tricked all the time in our online lives and about honesty. And I think it's hard to pinpoint where the lying is.
When I say I agree with whoever this charlatan is, I'm agreeing with this idea that the length of the process is sometimes used as marketing. I think that's true. Sometimes it is. I also absolutely agree with what you're saying, where it's like, well, a novel takes a certain amount of time to write. The Joy of Basketball could not have been made in a week because it's 110,000 words, because it's hundreds of illustrations and charts and graphs. It required thought.
Word. Yeah.
And what this character is talking about is, I want an output that is instant and it's just as good because it requires no thought, but it's because you built a plagiarism machine. You're just regurgitating what people actually spent the manpower and woman power and the hours, and like my whole life I learned this craft so that I could then create this work of art that was then gobbled up by this machine and just vomited out instantaneously. It's like, see, it took no time at all.
Right. And like, this is why I love sports, right? Not only because there's a clock in the arena that talks to you as you're watching this thing. Like, our buddy John Caramonica announced that he was writing the Kanye West book. And it's been years since that announcement, but how can he write it? Because it's still being written by Kanye West. So he has to wait. He cannot just rush into it. This is going to take longer than anyone expected. I can't really tell you if ever, right?
Sorry, I'm just thinking like, time to put the final touches on my book, dude. Kanye, Not a Nazi. Final period and time to set. Oh, okay.
Right.
Back to the drawing board.
And it's different doing a podcast or a basketball podcast, but if and when we are tasked to write The Joy of Basketball #2, I kind of want to be like, we can't finish this book until we find out what Jalen Brunson does in New York. This is going to be a main part of the book. It's like, well, why can't you write that now? It's like, because we don't know, right? And then to that point, we don't know what kind of people we are going to be to write this poem.
But that's also what is great about basketball, amongst other athletic endeavors. Like, you could fake it on this with AI. You could say, generate a basketball play that looks like an amazing dunk, but it's a 720, and he's dunking all over Andrew Kuo, and it's Ben doing the windmill on him. Like, oh wow, I think that happened. That's real.
Yeah.
But when you go and you watch basketball players, you see the time that was put into that. No one just showed up and was like, what the hell is this thing? Okay, let me get out there. It's no, this is a life's work that you are watching live. You are seeing someone who, since they were, generally speaking, a small child, learned this craft and is one of the best 450 like artists at this craft on earth, and it's just undeniable.
When KD goes down with that
Fuck
Achilles,
you, Tobias Harris, ya bum.
When Weber calls a timeout, KD gets that Achilles injury, Halliburton gets that Achilles injury, you're like, oh no, right? Because the poem changes in front of you, and you're like, this whole lifetime has come to this. And Halliburton talks about that, right? He's like, I can't believe it happened at the time it was on. The lights were on. I was ready to win, and I couldn't do it. And that's where, like, it takes multiple parallel times in order to describe what happened to Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I think about the idea of sports as being so non-subjective, and that's kind of the power to it. We kind of, our gimmick is looking for the subjective layers to a sport that is fundamentally not subjective. It's like,
Who won?
Who won the game? Who scored the points? Who made the basket? Did the shot go in or out? Like, we have these finite determinations that can let us know, well, you're wrong. Your team lost. You're a loser. You didn't get your win today. Because
You're telling me Embiid is one of the best players, but show me when he won.
Where's the ring?
Yeah, totally.
Second round. Ha ha.
Right. And we'll talk about Draymond Green later, but like who deserves what? Who deserves the moral superiority? High ground. Is it the way you behave or where you are at the end? Is it the process? This guy talks in his tweet, he's like, quote unquote, process. I'm like, are we just not doing that anymore? Because you can't talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder without talking about how they got here. It took years. Not that many years, but a few years.
Right. But even, I mean, I'm just saying basketball is like so undeniably a meritocracy. People will come up with their little, wrinkles to that. Well, there's actually guys like Beasley who is not in the league for such and such reason. But overall, we kind of understand that the best basketball players in the world are here, and the best of the best are the ones who get recognized, and they're the ones who are the All-Stars or the Celtics. And we just understand this system, and that it's based on fairness. And that's why music and art are different, because I might not like the same thing as you, but we can both agree that the Sixers lost in double overtime yesterday. That happened. No disputing that.
Yeah, and then obviously this is how the interns make their millions, but like the shaping of that is everything, right? So the sun goes up and the sun goes down. Everyone looks at the same sunset. But people who can talk about chasing free beers at 1 a.m. in New York City are different than people who are just existing to drink those beers. And Barstool, things like Barstool and the New York Post kind of mine the visceral, being like, we're going to talk about these beers. And other people are like, wasn't that a fun night? It's taste, right? And when people on Twitter are like, I'm tired of your thoughts about the sunset. It's just the sun going down. It happens every day. I'm like, we need that voice too.
When I look across the water from the poop deck of my houseboat, I know it's another W has been banked for old Benny.
Man, Kenji's got to move back to the East Coast, man. He's getting soft out there.
So when we were talking about some concepts with the interns earlier, their faces smudged with gruel.
Behind those cages. Yeah.
Leftover Thanksgiving
throwing
gruel,
stuffing
naturally.
through the grates. Yeah.
You said, I want to talk about slow-moving players. And I said,
Oh, yeah.
That reminds me of a great player, myself. I, too, am slow-moving.
I mean, they say Con Knippel is actually Ben Dietrich number 2. The way he's taken the NBA by storm with his cerebral, slow-moving Rochester vibration.
I'm hearing this more and more.
We've been hearing this. Stupid thoughts. Everyone's enjoying Con Knippel's rookie year, but I was like, oh, he kind of reminds me of Brunson, just with the way they move, their body types. Obviously, Con's bigger, not a point guard, but I was like, I really enjoy the way both of these players play, because there's so much mental wiggle and so much physical wiggle that doesn't really show itself, like Cooper Flagg throwing down a dunk. And then the world of slow-moving players started to unfold in my brain. Like, obviously, Nikola Jokic, incredible. People doubt him because he's so like flabby and quote-unquote slow-moving. Then we have Luka Doncic, who's always playing at 60% health, who's just an MVP as soon as he touches the ball. Your boy James Harden, not aging like the way we thought a player should age. Denny Avdia, and this is like the kind of family tree of the Vlade Divac's and the Boris Diaw's, but it's just, I have an appreciation for the speed of the game, De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Maxey, but also these dancing bears that are getting it done in beautiful ways, like you get it done at the YMCA.
My ears are burning when you start talking about cerebral, slow moving.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you say lumbering?
Underestimated. I
Did
would say
someone
lumbering.
did someone mention lumbering? I was talking with one of our friends, and she's like, "Yeah, I heard you were pretty good at basketball. You got compared to Raymond Felton." I was like, "That's high
Raymond
praise."
Felton was a dog. Yeah, no, he was good.
I'm like, that's a grade A dancing bear right there. I'm proud to be in the category of Raymond Felton, and that's without even our common love of handguns.
Or Heathcliff, the character Heathcliff in the cartoons. And it's not a hot take, but the hot take I have is Con Knipple is already, I think, a better player than Jalen Brunson, who is also great. Con Knipple, I think, needs to work on a few things, and it'll take time. But already he's proving his skill set to be rare and like top 20 type stuff.
It's weird how you can hear pitchforks being pronged into your door frame, torches being lit outside your home. Yeah, did you hear Andrew Kuo announce that Con Knipple is better than Jalen Brunson? Well, we're cooked. We're going to have to be vacationing in Rochester soon because
Bora Bora.
You're getting run out of
Daniel
town on a
Day-Lewis.
rail, my friend.
Jalen Brunson has a magic that is unquantifiable. I think what he does late in games strikes me as something like some sorcery that we always talk about, where I'm like, he's unstoppable, this guy. You just can't stop him until he gets stopped by the Pacers. But like, he does things that defy reason to me. And I think that is something that is a statistic. Con Knipple hitting that corner three, I was just like, yo, buddy, what the hell? Like, you're
Were you watching that game?
Now? Yeah.
I was watching it too. Shout out to our buddy Tommy, who was also watching it. A weird amount of people who were tuned in, locked in on, was it Hornets? Wait, who are they playing?
Yeah. No, they were playing not the Pistons, a team that they were playing the Raptors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just everyone was
team.
absolutely locked. It was a phenomenal game too. It was really exciting.
I mean, LaMelo Ball gets benched.
No, he's still on a minutes restriction.
Yeah, totally. It's weird, but like at that point, like you may be like Tyler Hero, be like, close game, you're playing, buddy. But I like LaMelo Ball. This is not about him. I just think like I love players like Con Knipple because he doesn't look the part. You know, we always talk about casting. And it's just like, well, like Anthony Edwards does, his looks do a lot of service for him. You know, like he looks like a baller who should be an MVP. Luka Doncic is not Con Knipple, and not. It's because they're white too. It's just like, yo, your name is Con Knipple. You played with Cooper Flag. You're just drafting off of Cooper Flag, but he might be better than Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag's 2 years younger.
I think there is an interesting lack of athleticism in the Jordan originalist sense amongst the absolute best players on earth. You know, by mortal standards, they are,
yes,
of course,
yeah. Preface. Yeah.
pretty good athletes.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah.
You know, they're ambulatory. You know, they have good hand-eye coordination, whatever.
Right.
But other than Giannis, who of course is absolutely one of the best athletes on planet Earth, maybe that has ever existed. You look at guys like Luka and Jokic and SGA. SGA, obviously a good athlete. He's quick, he's fast, he can jump. Again, by mortal standards, but within the confines of the NBA, you would not say that he is someone who is going to jump out of the gym. He's not someone
He's not John Morant.
That's
why he got traded.
He's not a freak athlete amongst
He got traded twice.
basketball players.
Yeah, I mean, and I still bump into people who are like, SGA is just a cheater. He's a foul merchant. And I'm like, that's fair, 100%. But also, I believe in my constitution that that's a skill. And That's what Concanipple has to do. That's why he's not as good as Jalen Brunson this minute, because Jalen Brunson has a skill to generate the most valuable shot in the game, which is a free throw. But yeah, I love this. I love these great players. Not to be like this league, but like these are. This is an interesting cast of young players and dominating players right now, and it flies in the face of the '90s Jordan originalist era. Even Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was probably like the most beautiful basketball player I'll ever see in my life over Michael Jordan. But yo, Nikola Jokic, god damn, man,
Well,
he's creeping on some greatness.
yeah, of course. I think the most cliche like anecdote about basketball still just holds true. Like, you can't teach height. It's like you're just eliminating a huge percentage of the population when you say, well, to be really, really good, it's very helpful to be 6'8" or taller. Cool, let me do that real quick. I'd like to be 6'8". Well, you can't. The percentage of the population that is above 6'7" is infinitesimally small. You don't see them. You live in New York City. It is really rare when you see someone who is over 6'6" or 6'7" on the street in one of the biggest, most cosmopolitan places on earth. You don't see them. They're not around. If you can be one of those guys, well, then now you have a chance to be in the NBA.
I told you the story. I was walking down the street with our buddy Kay, friend of the pod, and he's like, "Damn, that guy is tall. Which basketball player is that?" And I was like, "Why do you have to do that? Just because that's Bol Bol. That's Bol Bol." I was like, "God damn." But yo, I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a little bit faster. I wish I had a better handle. I wish I didn't turn the ball over as much. I wish I could shoot better. Right? Like, these are all skills, and in the vacuum of just defining what a skill is, you take the person like Reed Shepherd who shoots really well, in the same way you take the slightly taller player if the skill sets match.
I probably have given you my takedown on European basketball, right? Have I done that before on this pod?
Do it again. Just do it again.
I'll make it quick.
Be brave.
There is this perception, and it goes back for years at this point, that Europe is producing better basketball players than the United States. And at first it was that they were more fundamentally sound. And now it's kind of pivoted back the other direction, where it's like, well, Americans aren't just playing basketball. They're doing drills, and they're getting personal trainers. They aren't feeling the game. They aren't playing as if it's jazz like those Europeans are. Like, wait, you're arguing both ways, and in both ways, Europe is superior at producing NBA talent. And I say that's not true, because where are the guards? If you're only producing giants who are identifiable at age 12, 13, because they're taller than everyone, and you can funnel them into playing basketball, yeah, it is possible to produce tall, good players when you have the tallest countries on earth. Like 25 of the 21 or 25 of 26 tallest nations on earth are within Europe. They're giant people. They play basketball, and it's twice the size of the United States. Of course you produce guys like Porzingis. Of course you produce a Jokic. Like,
how do you talk about Luka, though?
But I'm saying, Luka's a good example. He's 6'8". His dad played professionally, or at least, his dad played pro and was on like the national team. I'm saying, where are the guards? If you are really that good at producing NBA talent, where are all your guys under 6'4"? Because they're all from the United States or like Toronto.
Yegor Zemin, stand up. Yeah, and I think if you were a business and an NBA team, you skim the top of that market. And usually it's players who have skills and are tall, right? You're like, I'll cherry pick 2 or 3 of these guys. And it's like, well, what about Rokas Jokubaitis? Like, he's a short guy, but he's a great baller. It's like, we have those. But what we can't find is the tall versions of that, because those are rare. And we've kind of taken those from your inventory. So you can keep your Raymond Felton level replacement player, but we're gonna take the 6'9" Raymond Felton.
Yeah, I'm just like, where's your version of Donovan Mitchell? Where's your Tyrese Maxey? You don't have them. You literally don't have them. They never come over. They never succeed. Who's the best European guard? Schroeder?
I mean, I think Luka's a guard, but he is taller. He's very tall, as we found out through.
I'm sorry. Let me clarify. I mean, best European
Short
player,
player.
like under 6'4".
Right.
They don't exist.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, can we make Reed Shepherd Greek?
You win this round, Quo.
What about my guy?
You were the only one who believed that Reed Shepherd was actually of European stock. I saw that man and said, that's a Native American.
I'm on that Reed Shepherd shit. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point. I do believe it's a basketball discussion and it's a market discussion about profitability and selective opportunity. But yeah, I mean, point taken.
I would just say, yeah. I mean, I'm going to absolutely make up math right now. But if you're like, okay, 1 out of every 100,000 American boys is a 7-footer. In Europe, that number may well be 1 in every 50,000. The population is just taller, and it's just like a larger group of people. And that would explain in some reasons why you just have the best rebounders on earth are generally just European guys. Yeah. Because they're identifying hyper tall children and funneling them into the professional ranks at age 14.
Totally. And
very hard to do that with a normal sized kid.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about this ad nauseum, but to make it in the NBA as like a short king has a set of challenges that are just, you can win slam dunk competitions and not get a second 10-day deal with a team, which is crazy because he doesn't have guard skills, right? I'm talking about Mac McClung, but like I think about China. Shout out to Zach Edey, who as much as I gloat about my guys like Reed Shepherd and Con Knipple, no one believed in them except me. I missed on Zach Edey. I was like, he's fine. He's just going to be like a serviceable big. Him and Jalen Duren are good.
Klingen's good too.
Centers. Klingen's good. I was just like, you drafted them a few slots too high because they're replaceable Mitchell Robinson type guys. No, Zach Edey is on this run that I'm like, I believe in this Chinese person.
What's funny is I would like to do some math, but I'm not going to again.
Look at this, man.
But
shit.
I haven't heard anyone talk about this, and maybe I will do some research and I'll talk about it with some ammunition. But I was thinking about this the other day.
This is not a math podcast.
If you go back a few years ago, they moved the college 3-point line back. Mm-hmm. So it was closer to the NBA 3-point line and further from the American high school 3-point line. And you might be able to find the exact date when this occurred, but it moved back. The college 3-point line is pretty far now. It's relatively close to the NBA's 3-point line. We should find out if the shooting from college players who go into the pros as young athletes has dramatically improved as a result. Because there used to be an issue where you would take a Markelle Fultz and say, I hope his shooting can translate. Look, his free throw percentage is pretty good. We believe that he can make those threes. Now that doesn't matter because these guys are coming in. Yeah. College players are coming in essentially shooting NBA threes. So it's very rare to find a guy who can make college threes and not pro threes because the lines are just not that far apart anymore.
Yeah, on a college broadcast for years, it was like, he's taking the NBA 3. It's like, why would you take that shot when the college line is closer? It's like, well, he's showing us that he couldn't do it. But now this is like actual data when it moves back and closer to the NBA line. Zach Edey's success and Klingen's success. Well, Klingen shoots threes. Edey doesn't really mess with that. There's just really good these days. I mean, I forget which analyst said recently that many of the top 50 players of all time couldn't hack it in this league, and that's a bit of a gaslighting idea, as we talk about so much in the Joy of Basketball and this pod, because to time travel like that is a disservice to time. Of course, things get more difficult if you believe in simulation, but it's like the way you learn a skill. You fail, succeed. The muscles of the NBA that kind of get bigger by lifting weights are hard to equate as the weights get heavier.
So just to break down the exact facts here, the NCAA 3-point line is at basically 22 feet and 2 inches. That's the same as international play. That was changed from 20 feet 9 inches in 2019, and it was 19 feet 9 inches in 2007. So it's still a couple feet shorter than the NBA range, but that's a big difference going back to 2007. It is essentially moving.
NCAA players are better shooters because they're tasked with shooting harder shots.
Yes, I'm saying that adage about we'll see if it can translate just isn't true anymore. These guys come in and they can shoot NBA threes. It's very rare to find someone who is like a capable 3-point shooter in college who just can't do it in the pros because they're taking those shots. Even as you said, They aren't even limited to the line. They're taking NBA threes since they're in high school. And I think that's why younger players, though, are succeeding earlier today than they did in the past. Like even like someone like a Con Knippel. It's like if he was playing on different size 3-point stripes his whole life in high school and college, and then it's like, oh, you're in the pros, let's see if it can translate. No, of course it translates. They're taking NBA threes. Yeah. He can shoot 44% from 3. Mark it down. He'll be an excellent to elite 3-point shooter in the pros because he was in college.
And what's faster, maybe to that guy's tweet's point, our expectations change immediately. I always hated the Louis C.K. like the bit about like, you're in an airplane, you just got this Wi-Fi, you don't even know this. We're flying through space, and you're mad that the Wi-Fi is not working. Be grateful for once. And I'm like, show someone 3 things and take 1 away and see what happens. We learn very quickly what 3, 4, and 5 is. Take it away and see how we react. Like, even animals can understand that. Show a dog a plate of food and take half of it away and see what happens in dog town. So like I think you're right. I think 3-point shooting or spacing in general in college prepares these players better. We adjusted to that really quick. Like in the draft, it has been identified.
That's my larger point is that I think it's easier to scout now than it used to be in many ways because
fewer hypotheticals.
Because also kids are growing up with pace and space. And I think sort of the Daryl Morey-esque, Dogtown, bring in the vets, that has been proven to be ass cheeks. It doesn't work because the kids coming in are more attuned to the modern game at an earlier age and they're making less money. They don't get hurt as much. And it's like, yes, do the OKC thing. You want younger players. You want hordes of them. AJ Mitchell, come on down. More and more young guys because they're all growing up shooting. They're all growing up with footwork. They're all growing up with spacing. They're all growing up learning how to swing that diagonal pass to the corner shooter when the help comes. Other players weren't doing that 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It literally wasn't the same game.
Yeah, and there's fallibility, and I kind of want to shift to like the Oklahoma City Thunder and their team building as they're dominating.
See, you were picking up on what I was laying down. That's
that's right. That's what we call a perfect pod, buddy.
That's the Knippel basketball IQ. Ball, Andrew Cole.
LaMelo Ball. But like, how do you account for the phenomena you're talking about as you're dominating, like, because Concaniple is in the right spot in order to succeed. He kind of blossomed when Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball were hurt. And when they came back, his usage dipped. But now it's like he's fighting through a little bit as like a 20-25% usage guy, even with those guys. The good rookies this year are to be noted. But there are still teams who select Ace Bailey and Trey Johnson. And these players, to me, are speed bumps for a rebuild, because they're never going to be able to succeed on a true superstar level with like 3 or 4 facets of their game: passing, defense, shot creation, spatial awareness, aside from scoring the ball. And you're going to have to max them out. Ace Bailey's going to make money. I don't know if he's ever going to be good as Dylan Harper, who is also going to make real money. And I don't know if either of them are going to be as good as Concaniple already. And like OKC, staring at this equation, not comfortably. I think there's a lot at stake here.
Well, the idea you had about speed bumps is kind of funny, because it's like a gilded cage of some sorts. When you take a talented player with a high pick, you may have a sinking feeling in your stomach, like midway through season 1, like,
We're going to max him out.
Man, Knipple was the guy we should have taken there. Or our guy. I'm not sure if he's it, but we got to see this through, because we put that.
There's so much money in a high pick. Yeah.
We invested in this guy. We built our marketing campaign around him. He's our savior. That's what we decided. So
fire Nico Harrison. You see the vision? We do see the vision. You're fired.
But we can't trade you for 2 or 3 years, because then it looks like we're acknowledging our error. We have to fight the good fight and say, we 100% believe in Ace Bailey, no matter what. We think we would take him number 1. In fact, we wouldn't. He's untouchable. You can't get your hands on Ace Bailey. He is a Utah Jazzer for life.
Yeah, and like, how do you even trade someone on the rookie deal for equal value? Unless you get a certain high pick back, like top 3. You know, like, what are you doing with
to your point? And the point you made was that if he scores decently, and you have to give him these opportunities, you can't say, Ace, we're going to bring you off the bench for 3 years because you're not that good of an NBA player. You got to give him touches. You got to give him shots and hope that it works out. And then in a best case scenario, you end up with like an RJ Barrett, who you've played 40 minutes a game, and he's averaging like 17 points. Like, look, we did it. We turned this very average player into someone that we are now paying $22 million a year for.
And remember what it took to deal RJ Barrett. Yeah.
9 years of RJ Barrett.
The Knicks weren't going to pay IQ, but they had to throw IQ into that deal, who's like a very good player. A different type of investment for OG Anunoby, who is wonderful. But what it takes to move a player like RJ Barrett or Ace Bailey is like a drain on your mechanics, and like shift to...
And RJ, to be clear, is like the best case scenario of this, right?
Yeah.
An underwhelming 3rd overall pick who's okay. He's okay.
Yeah. He's okay. He's playing well. So lovable. A really affable, marketable dude. Scores points.
He's
but
okay.
like, yeah, he's fine. Which is a lot better than what he was on the Knicks, which is like he's certifiably bad. Like, he's dragging this whole team build down.
Oh, he was a absolute saboteur on the Knicks.
Yeah, it was delightful in its way. But like, this sounds
Inside
ridiculous.
man, RJ Barrett, working for the Canadian government.
Snitching for the Canadian government, Canadian CIA. But I want to talk about this Oklahoma City situation, because people say, oh, you know, they're looking at it. Yeah. Top 3 pick.
Yes. OKC is, as they say, a problem. A problem for the NBA. They are currently 20-1. think they've won, I don't know, 13 in a row. But what does it even matter? What's the streak? They've lost one game. They've played 21 games. The streak is not impressive. They're 20-1. J-Dub, one of the two Jalen Williams, I believe has now played 2 games, maybe 3. He just came back.
He looks good.
He looks good. He is good. He's got a great round face. He's cool looking.
Wow, RFD, round face disease. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
DNP RFD.
Excellent player. Anyway, they also have, as if the draft happened today, as would shake out, pick number 6, pick number 9, pick number 14. And one of those is Phillies, one of those is the Clippers. I forget who the other one is. Anyway, what are we going to do about this, Andrew? If we have a team that's on pace to go, I don't know, 79-3 or some bullshit, 78-4. They won the title last year. They're going to get multiple lottery picks, maybe a top 2 or 3 pick in a stacked draft. I say disband the Thunder. End it here. Good game. Good job, Sam Presti. We're breaking them up. It's like the Trust Busters. No more Thunder. They're done.
We don't need to go through with it. Let's just call you the greatest team dynasty of all time, and let's have some fun. Let's play some real games, right? Because the apron is supposed to protect people from Steve Ballmer creating teams like the Thunder. But the Thunder have Steve Ballmer's pick, and all of Steve Ballmer's money and influence and location and context, new arena, cannot create a winning team thus far. And this,
I say, mercy rule. This happens in Little League. It happens in youth basketball. Okay.
11-0. We're ending the game.
You got us. It's over. Yeah. OKC, salute, mercy rule. Time to smash your team into smithereens and send your assets and players spread across the globe.
Maybe Silver sends Dylan Brooks out to headhunt. And I would never suggest this would happen, but remember when Curry was dominating with the Warriors? They're like, just knock him down. Just break him. He could not be broken until he was broken by age. But this sounds like a dumb thing, and I sound dumb all the time, but like this, on one hand, the Thunder, congratulations, standing ovation, you did it. This is, the bravery, the courage, yes.
You did it.
The situation they're looking at is also fortuitous, but it's like winning the actual lotto. It comes with a tax. And the tax is their assets are coming in too fast, too furious. They have Nikola Topic recovering from testicular cancer, still waiting, who is like a very promising guard. They had Josh Giddey, who's now like blossomed into a for real all-star. If they can get their hands on a Cameron Boozer, like what do you do? Right? Because you're a 20-1 team with these assets sitting. Like, this sounds terrible to say, but Topic coming down with like a long injury kind of benefits them because they won't have to pay him. They don't have to play him. They don't have to do all the things it takes to retain a talent like him.
Are you suggesting those oil barons used a cancer gun on Topic?
I'm not suggesting shit. I'm saying gambling is everywhere, man. And
what would Lena Khan do if she was running the NBA? Let's
lower the price.
Some trusts. Let's bust some trusts.
Get rid of the aprons, as they say. But
break it all up. Let's get Seattle a team. We're sending the Kings back to Rochester where they belong, where the culture was rife with victories.
And looking at the Thunder, I think retaining, after they paid their big three, retaining an all-defensive player candidate like Isaiah Hartenstein might be difficult moving forward. Like, they have to adjust based off of what the apron dictates and how their stars age into money. How do Cameron Boozers fit into here? Very poorly. Are you going to get a Cameron Boozer in 4 years if you push the pick off in a trade or in a trade? I don't know. Like, the time to strike might be now. Do you rebuild the team when you're this good?
Yeah, you almost have to hope that the lavish embarrassment of riches lends itself towards more greed, where the owners say, well, I don't think we should pay these awesome players because we now have cheaper ones, right, Sam? Like, Sam, go out there and trade away one of our stars who we're paying $50 million and get back like 4 more first round picks, and let's just keep this going on the cheap. We can win titles. We have this trove of picks. Why do we have to go over the apron? Why do we have to spend luxury tax? We're winning anyway. Let's just double down on winning this without spending more money, because we might be able to do that. Isn't that really the dream of the NBA owner? Win your championships without going into the luxury tax?
I love this question. What do the Oklahoma City Thunder and Sam Presti think the basketball league is? Is this about beauty? Is this about legacy? Is this about money? Probably all of those things. But now they have to declare their actual point of view, because if they want to put the most beautiful basketball team on the court, they probably push off from these picks a little bit. Or maybe 2 or 3 of these players are going to make the team even better. What does Sam Presti want, right? Because he's already winning. He has the money. What does Steve Ballmer want? He has all the money. Steve Ballmer wants legacy. He wants his ego fed. And he wants to bring joy, I think, truthfully, to the NBA and to LA. And he hates the Lakers. He's got a mean streak. He doesn't like James Dolan either. Sam Presti... Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, sorry. No, I wanted to hear what you were going to say. Sorry.
Just quickly, like, this comes to like a delicious thought about what we want in the NBA. And from somebody who has everything. He's achieved the team building that everybody wants. Moving forward will tell us, his actions will tell us what he thinks the world means to him.
When I try to put myself in the headspace of an oilman with a cancer gun, it's difficult. I don't really know what they want, but we do know the shady maneuvers that brought the team to Oklahoma City. We do know about the Harden trade that was seemingly based on economics from the front office and from the franchise versus from James Harden. So we know that they've made some missteps that were due to economics in the past, and we know that they haven't necessarily shown the willingness to spend the kind of money that Golden State did to keep their championship window open for like a decade. And they shelled out the money virtually the entire time until Klay Thompson just became too expensive. But they did it. They spent the money on those guys. They kept the window open. OKC, that remains to be seen, right? Do we end up in a couple of years with J-Dub, SGA, and a bunch of guys who aren't even in the league now? Is that what this team looks like in 4 years, where they're just cycling through guys on rookie contracts who are waiting to go and become overpaid? I don't know. But what's funny about OKC is, like, when you have these picks and you just keep pushing them forwards, that's great. Yeah, you have them for a rainy day. If you ever have to trade for a Giannis, you can bundle them up and be like, here they are. But until they're conveyed, they don't mean anything on the floor. So that's the funny part about it, right? It's like they do have all these picks, and yes, they can trade them in for tangible players to help you in the immediate time period. But because their money is finite and it's mostly, dedicated to 3 young stars, unless they get a top 3 pick, they almost just have to keep pushing this forward. And in some ways, it doesn't benefit them until this whole thing blows up.
I mean, Jalen Williams' health will be interesting. I think Chet Holmgren is kind of a rare player that you hesitate to swap. I don't know. And I think, when I talk about these like flowery terms, like what Sam Presti thinks of the world, I really believe it, because you're talking about what you want to show how you want to display your dominance. Like, on is it sustainability? Is it domination in a short period of time? What does he think about the years going by? Because like I've never seen a team with this much success with this amount of riches. Like Golden State had that number 2 pick and took James Wiseman, that kind of destroyed their dynasty. They didn't use that asset well, not only drafting the wrong player but not dealing it, sort of like Darko Milicic. These misplays are very famous. Of course, they struck gold with Jalen Williams for sure. I don't think many people thought he was going to be this good. He is this good. Um, I I think Sam Presti has enough control of the league where it is a fair question to ask if Adam Silver should step in.
With someone like Sam Presti and trying to figure out what's the ego there, right? Is it that he just loves these guys, or is it that he loves the process, that he loves outsmarting the league, he loves building stuff? Because
He stayed in Oklahoma City. He did not take a job in New York or LA.
and other than James Harden, those guys typically stay. But he's also shown the willingness to go out there and acquire a Paul George. He traded away Sabonis. He traded away Oladipo. He will make moves. So I wonder, like, what is? Obviously, he's competitive. He's a psycho. He just wants to win,
Yeah.
and that's the primary drive here. But yeah, you look at this and you're like, what happens if OKC goes 78-4, wins the title, and then they get the 2 pick? Like, why are we doing a basketball podcast? We got to call this thing off. What are we doing? It's just a culture pod. 2 hours of talk about driving to Rochester.
All right. Is the NBA pointless when the outcome is this predictable? It's not certain, but there's a probability that Oklahoma City will win again. And the MVP is going to be Jokic. And we're going to get the repeat results from last year. What are we doing? Only freaks care about Colin Knippel, right? Like, I don't think people are watching the NBA to see Reed Shepherd be 6th man of the year. Like, that's some loser shit. But like, how do you, as a product, how do you control what Oklahoma City has stumbled into? And I think, to your point, a lot of luck happened. I think Sam Presti, very smart. In a small market, he is allowed and permitted to do something like this that he may not be permitted to do in LA. But he got lucky. That SGA trade was a fleecing, but I don't think anybody thought he was going to be
No.
a god level player.
No, and that wouldn't have worked if not for Kawhi and his machinations and giving to LA and wanting Paul George to play with him. They may have traded Paul George at some point, but the Clippers don't do that trade unless Kawhi is, leveraging his own signing with the team for them to go do it, because they can justify giving up that much stuff because it wasn't just trading for Paul George. It was trading for Paul George and signing Kawhi Leonard. It was essentially a trade that enabled them to build a team around 2 perennial All-Stars, future Hall of Famers. OKC doesn't end up getting J-Dub and SGA without that trade. And without that trade, what are we looking at? We're looking at Chet Holmgren and a bunch of 3-and-D guys. Not to say it wouldn't have played out, in a more fortuitous way.
Yeah.
But that one trade was the linchpin to everything we've seen. They got 2 All-NBA players and cleared a bunch of money off their deck.
Yeah.
Like, that was the trade. That did it.
I still think the Giddey Caruso trade was bad. I think Sam Presti is like, God damn, I missed on that one. Even though Caruso was hugely important in that title run, I still think he looks back and like, I couldn't make Giddey work because he just needed too much money, too much usage. Like, he does not fit in our puzzle. And I took Caruso back, which is not the worst case scenario at all, but not optimal. And like, how psycho is Presti? Is he a world eater, or does he believe in like a living idea of a team? You know, he's like, these pieces interact and then they fall apart and you bring them together. Or is he saying like, I'm here to make a statement, I'm willing to give Josh Giddey for a lesser player like Caruso, because we need players in the margins. We need these 3-and-D guys because our foundation is set, to your point, on this god level player who is in his prime, who seems pretty unfallible in a way Jokic is even fallible. Like, I think maybe what I'm saying, to carry this to its furthest flowery bullshit thing, is like, what does hubris look like in the NBA? Sam Presti will show us.
Yeah, I like this idea, and the Giddey trade, I'm fine with it being a win-win. It's hard to argue against that when
Totally.
OKC got back a fantastic player despite being
Giddey's an
injury
all-star
prone,
now.
and they won that. I'm just saying I'm okay with it being a win-win. When it first happened, and the general perception was that OKC should have also given up multiple first rounders to get Caruso, I feel like this was just vestigial Laker glazing. Caruso's a really good player. He is a phenomenal defender, one of the best individual perimeter defenders, other than the god Ben Simmons, that I've seen play personally. Like, elite perimeter defender. Like, it's crazy the way he navigates screens. Right. He gets his hands on deflections. He is a brilliant defender. He's also a good offensive player. Awesome player. But like, you couldn't get what you needed to get for Giddey because you couldn't put the ball in his hands, because you had J-Dub and SGA. They just didn't have the ecosystem where they could have allowed Giddey to thrive in the way that we would have known this guy is an all-star caliber player. So we need to reconfigure either what we're going to do or get something back differently. And I wonder if that's going to happen with some of these guys on OKC, because they generally know what they have. But AJ Mitchell is a good example. Like, this guy's just been sitting around. He's just a second rounder. He's just been there. Okay, we'll give you a first for him. I'm like, I didn't even know.
I thought
Cason Wallace.
Cason Wallace is a top 10 point guard, but he just doesn't do enough because he doesn't have to. He is a good point guard.
No, Cason Wallace is the best example, because Cason Wallace would be like, a gem, an untouchable part of like the Wizards rebuild. Top 10 pick, Cason Wallace. Well, that's like a cornerstone of what we're doing here. And they have a bunch of those dudes who are like top 15 picks. They're just sitting around, not getting minutes. And yeah, you can underpay them, but if they're not going to get on the court, you have to trade them. You got to let someone else take them. Like, if I'm a team that has some money to spend, I'm like, yeah, I'll give Cason Wallace $20 million. I want him. He's a top 5 perimeter defender in the league. He's elite. You can't pay him. I'm taking him.
I mean, this market problem is annoying when it's a thing like basketball, because if you had like a lemon tree and it had a ton of fruit for 2 months, you can make a lot of lemonade and you can make a lot of lemon meringue pies, but you have a surplus, so you try to do stuff with it. And at some point, you're just going to have to start giving this stuff away. And the Oklahoma City Thunder kind of feels like they're at that point. You can't say like, Lemon Tree, hold off for a few years when we can like make more lemonade, because I'm at my limit a little here. The Thunder are going to suffer in a way that I think is unfair, but also it's the constraints of the game. I don't think a 9-man rotation can fit all the talent that they are going to have. Pushing it off into the future is a gamble that they have to make. But it's sad to see how well something is cared for, like a lemon tree, and not be able to observe the rewards of it.
Yes, I agree. Also, this is a sport where 5 players are on the floor and they don't share responsibilities equally. That's just not how the modern
Jason
game is
Wallace,
played.
just on ball defense. That's all we need from you.
Right. And Cason Wallace is like, I'm a top 10 pick. I'm one of the best players on earth. I'm an elite defender. This will never be my team. I've won 3 championships. I've started. I'm a made man in the NBA. I have rings. I want to make $30 million and be an all-star. That
But they
will
have
never
to win
happen
for
to
this
me.
to work. If they
That
didn't
will never
win this,
happen to me.
right, if Halliburton doesn't pop his Achilles and somehow wins this game, Wallace is unhappy. Hartenstein is unhappy. Like you have the building of what every other team has to deal with, right? But just by winning gives
Yeah.
them time.
That's true. I'm also saying there's a difference between a Hartenstein who's been around the league. He went
played.
there. He got his big contract. He got the title. Like, what a story for Hartenstein. But if you're Cason Wallace, you're coming to the league as a top 10 pick. You get some playing time. You don't get a ton of touches, and you win right away. Well, you've got a whole other story that you need to put together now for your career. It's not just, I was a helpful perimeter defender on the greatest team of all time. I've already done that, and I'm 23 years old. So we need to tell the Cason Wallace story, and that means I'm going to the Sacramento Kings, and I'm going to make $30 million a year, and you're never going to hear of me again.
I mean, what do these players want, right? Like, there's a lot of Draymond Green chatter lately because people are relitigating the Golden State run because of the Thunder. It's like, are the Thunder better than the Golden State run? And trickle down content economics, we get to dissecting Klay Thompson and we get to dissecting Draymond Green. Is he a role player? What do they win without him? Do they win with him? Scottie Pippen sacrificed his entire legacy to play with Michael Jordan. If Scottie Pippen demands a trade, I think we view him in a different light. He's the second best player of that era, but we see him as a Robin. If Cason Wallace wins enough, he might be like, I'll take less money to play in Oklahoma City if we're going to win this many championships. But not finding out what he can do, like we never found out what Scottie Pippen could do for real, is like a question these players ask themselves and we kind of observe.
I'm sure if you asked Manu Ginobili, did you get everything you wanted from the NBA? He would probably say yes. I don't know if there's a little itch that was never scratched about having his own team. Like, could I have been a Kobe Bryant, the Argentinian version of the Mamba? They might have Mambas also in Argentina, I forget. But could he have been the focal point of an NBA offense that won a title without a Tim Duncan or without Tony Parker, without Lord Boris Diaw? Again, he may not ever have this, cloud pass over the Argentinian sun in his brain. He might say, well, that was perfect. I played international ball. I go to the Spurs. I won a bunch of championships on the Hall of Fame. That was so sick. I never wanted anything else. But I, Ben, selfishly would have liked to see that. And I think, there's a difference between someone like Manu, who was a little older coming into the league, and maybe Hartenstein as a veteran who was a journeyman and got his contract and played in New York, and he had a full life as an NBA player. But yes, you're AJ Mitchell. You're like, wait, I'm just going back to the bench now? I've been putting up 20 a game. I'm nice.
This
What are
was
you gonna
James
do with
Harden
me?
in Oklahoma City, right? Being like, guys, I love it here. I love my mom-made pizza roll friends here. But I got to grow up and live. I got to be LeBron. I got to take my talents to LA, Houston, wherever. And everyone got it, right? And I'm not saying Cason Wallace is a James Harden level talent, but to see what these guys are willing to do in the face of media scrutiny, however great Nikola Jokic is, he gets criticism for not caring enough. I'm like, dude, he cares enough. Giannis is always...
Well, I was going to say, the Harden point is interesting because I think Harden may have been content to be the third wheel, to be the sixth man of the year, to be the Ginobili. because everywhere he's gone, he's never gone somewhere and said, James Harden is here. It's time for me to be the man. He always subsumes himself into the existing star framework. Like,
Chris
of course,
Paul, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard. Yeah.
I mean, he went to the Sixers. He's like, oh, Joel and Maxey, you guys are chuckers. I'll lead the league in assists. How about that? And then the Clippers, he went out there. I was like, I'm just here to, fill in the gaps, throw some dimes. Everyone gets hurt. He's like,
54
okay. Okay, 2008 James Harden loading. I'm here.
Oh,
fine.
you need me to be the best point guard in the league now? Okay, tonight.
Yeah, no problem. That's done. Easy, easy, light work.
Yeah.
Throw on the fat suit. Here I am.
Which is more interesting, or as interesting as Giannis being like, I am Thor. I'm going to be the leading scorer in NBA history. But right now I'm in limbo. Find me the place where I could be a god. And I'm just like, this is fascinating, right? Because there's loyalty, there's business.
And I do have love for someone like Jeremy Grant too, who's like, I'm here with Jokic. You know what? This isn't letting me spread my wings. I'll take less money because I think I can be an NBA superstar. No, you weren't. And that's okay though. You went for it.
Yeah.
You said, this Jokic guy, this ball hog over here, he's not letting Jeremy Grant shine. I'm going to go to the Pistons and I'm going to be the next Charlie Villanueva. And he was. And, irrational confidence is everything in my life, in these athletes' lives, in stockbrokers' lives, whatever. Back to Oklahoma City, all these kinds of people in this league are there. And somehow, just by winning, they've towed the line enough to bring them to another season. They're heading towards an iceberg, though. A wonderful, profitable, golden iceberg, right? But I'm obsessed with this idea of tax, right? There's always a Kami corridor, a Zoran Mandami looming, where you can't have the thing you want because it doesn't quite exist. The universe takes what the universe wants, and in this case, it is age. It is the idea of sharing in the NBA, if we're talking about the apron. And it is the idea of generosity within these individuals to fall in line to be the best team in NBA history. You know what's the best team in podcasting history?
Interns, quiet. Here's more stuffing. Less stuffing.
Cookies.
I love cookies. I love cookies.